All right, Keith. The pressing issue is PSR as always, and how angry to Everton and of course Nottingham Forest fans have the right to be after Leicester's loophole for those PSR rules.
Yeah, you're right, Will. And here we are back on PSR again. And I would just point out the S does stand for sustainability. And that's not really what's happening with these rules. But anyway, how angry should they be? I don't think they can be that angry, to be honest. I think they've got to be angry at the Premier League about the drafting of the rules and the very loose drafting of the rules that allowed Leicester to run the coach and horses right through them. It was something I hadn't looked at in terms of the drafting. I had presumed that they'd been done professionally, but it appears not. And so if there's any anger at all, it should be directed towards the Premier League, I think, more than anything else.
For sure, and Everton does have their own new PSR hearing coming up, which will be heard at some point this year. And it centers around whether the interest payments on the loans used to finance the stadium that's being built are also excluded from their PSR calculation. Any inkling on what the outcome of that will be?
Yeah, I think it'll be pretty soon. And the interesting part here is that the Premier League is questioning really the auditor's opinion with Everton. And that's quite interesting because it's like the Premier League have a different take on accounting rules. Now, I'm quite surprised at this whole situation because normally accounting rules are pretty black or white. And I know that there's ways that you can try and, cook the books, so to speak, but this one should be pretty clear. Either it's, an interest rate on an interest charge on the actual stadium building, or it's not. So it should be pretty clear. So I'm surprised there's some sort of shade of grey here that they have to go and explore. But it really should be the Premier League have to decide, are the auditors for Everton correct or not? We've got to believe that hopefully the auditors will back up their opinion. I'm hopeful that Everton can get through this one, and we'll have to see how it turns out. But I expect the hearing to happen pretty quickly.
For sure, and what would a potential points deduction look like if they are found guilty?
Well, it's got quite a knock-on effect because it could mean a breach in a couple of years. So it could be up to 6 points again. So again, it's really something we don't want to see happen. But I'm hopeful because of the type of charge it is that there'll be a resolution to it, hopefully in the favour of the auditors and Everton.
For sure. And in terms of kind of avoiding these deductions in the future for Everton, we've seen Chelsea kind of use these sister companies as a way of avoiding PSR rules. We've seen the Premier League now allow that. We know UEFA is not allowing that. We know the Championship is not allowing that, but the Premier League is. Do Everton have any of these assets that they could potentially sell off to help balance the books?
Well, you got to look at the corporate restructuring and see if the ladies' team could be somehow sold, as Chelsea have done. Could Bramley Moore, the new stadium, somehow be packaged up and resold as well? There's so many things that you could have to look at now, and I'm sure that every potential opportunity is being looked at right now, given the examples that have already passed, like that Chelsea have done, etc., and their hotels, etc. So let's just see. I mean, the training ground, there's all these sort of things, but it depends where the actual legal ownership lies within the corporate structure. So we'd have to see what could be done, but I'd hope that people are looking at that quite closely. I know I certainly would have been if I'd been still there.
For sure, and that can't be used retroactively, right? This current hearing will happen, and the potential points deduction cannot be altered.
Correct, that will not be retroactive. It'll be something that would have had to have already been in play, and so that will be the case. Hopefully looking forward, though, we're going to see some clever thinking to make sure that we don't get into this situation again. But just coming back to my first point about sustainability, we're seeing these things now that are really not helping clubs be sustainable. They're costing them, we see some things that are just frightening in terms of the costs that these rules are giving on clubs. So they're just not achieving what they're set out to do.